This may be too much information or not of interest to some people, but I feel like it's time for a little candid camera. When relationships end and there's no obvious culprit to whom anyone who doesn't know anything about it can attach the blame and responsibility for a relationship failing, it's generally speaking a mutually arrived at problem where because you stop trying to maintain it, it dies. I live in Nevada. I have a garden in the backyard, and I have found that if you let plants go too long without watering them, they will die no matter what. Even plants that are native to here, I brought some grape seeds back down from the mountain and planted them in my backyard to see if it was the ground or the environment that killed them. And this July, when we had a huge heat wave, they died despite the fact that I've been trying to take care of them. And that's the second point, is even sometimes when you're trying to take care of it, it will die anyway. Because relationships require both individuals to make an effort. And if you're not trying to make it work, you're in essence trying to make it fail. That being said, you go through phases of where your effort varies back and forth, like mine did when I was married. At the end of my marriage, for about a year, I met every Wednesday night with my bishop. He gave me an assignment each week, and I learned quickly that every Wednesday night I would be held accountable for the assignment. He would follow up, and then he would give me a new one. And they were doing this in order to, I think, gauge whether or not it was the marriage was savable, and to make a good faith effort to make sure that I was doing what was required in order to make it survive if the ground was survivable. I will admit freely that sometimes I fulfilled my assignments only because I knew I would have to answer for them, and so my efforts were half hearted, half baked, and predictably an absolute disaster. Because if your heart's not really in it, you don't do a very good job. And that's what we learned from this, is that my wife's heart just wasn't in it. She really didn't care what I did. The only one that really needs to be mentioned is one night I spent some time, cooked dinner, put up candles, made an effort, cleaned up, and she warmed to this and sat down at the table with me to have dinner. And I said, "Would you mind giving the prayer?" And she said, "Nice try. You almost tricked me into praying." Packed up, left the house, and I don't think I saw her again until I woke up in the morning. After about a year at length, I met with the bishop one night, and he opened up our conversation by informing me that this week there would be no assignment. And I admittedly breathed a sigh of relief because I was tired of having all this work to do and having it go nowhere. And he had recognized the same thing. He said he met with his supervisor, and they had concluded that things either had no effect or they made things worse. End quote. He says, "We feel that if we continue to force you to remain married to her, we are essentially condemning you to hell on earth." End quote. I didn't use her name. I changed that out, but because this isn't about her. This is about the principle of the thing. It doesn't matter what I do to sustain it if the other person doesn't want it to survive. And so the notion that breakups are mutual or that you didn't do anything wrong are both negated by my experience. Did I want to be with her? No. But I had made a commitment and I was going to try, even if it was sometimes half-heartedly so, to make it work. And that's because if you try, then theoretically the other person's going to make an effort too. What we learned is that she did not care to save it, which sort of negates any of my half-heartedness or the failures I did or any mistakes I made in those assignments that I was given by my bishop, because if you don't welcome it, it doesn't matter what I do, one way or the other. If she wasn't welcome to it, I could have been a total douche. I could have treated her like crap, ignored her, and been like, whatever, and it wouldn't have mattered. Now, that would have given her the ability to blame me for the relationship failing because I would have created an environment that was toxic that would have contributed to the failure of our relationship regardless of how she felt. But because I didn't do that, because I actually made an effort, it is clearly evident that one person always desires the end of a relationship or the survival of a relationship more than the other. If you cannot honestly tell who the problem child in a situation is, you're the problem child. There's always a group where there's someone who's a problem. There's always a group where someone doesn't pull their weight. And if you can't figure out who that person is, you're that person. And if you can't answer honestly for what you did, you're that person. So what am I doing here? I'm telling you, did I contribute to it? Yeah. The real fact of the matter is it didn't matter what I contributed at all based on her response. She did not want it to be rescued. I'm really not sure why she married me. I have speculations. But I can tell you this. She didn't care about what I did enough to make any effort to save it herself. And so in the end, whatever problems we had, whatever I did or didn't do, whatever she did or didn't do, if you stop nurturing it, it will die 100% of the time. And if someone says, I'm not going to chase, I'm not going to make an effort, I expect you to do everything, it's only a matter of time before it falls apart, because you have bad days. You have days when you don't feel like it. You have days when you're sick, days when things happen at work or with family or friends, or you get a stupid email from the HOA and now you're in a bad mood, and even your best is going to be a bad thing. So even if you want to save it, you're not going to be able to be on point every day, all the time, with everything and rescue it. And if they don't want it to be rescued, if they don't want to be saved, it doesn't matter what you do. You cannot save a person who does not want to be saved, and you cannot save a relationship if the other person does not want it to work. So if they want you to do all the work, it ain't going to happen. One day, sooner or later, it's over. I know these are not surprising things, or they shouldn't be. They're not new thoughts, or they shouldn't be. They are simply my thoughts in the wake of my experiences and things that I wish as a younger man I had been able to understand. My problem is that I was 26 years old before I realized that other people did not think the way I did. That when the fact that I said what I thought did not mean that anyone else did that. That I meant the things I said did not mean they did. And I discovered it because of this marriage, that most people are not telling you the whole truth, even if the things they are telling you are true. Do I tell the whole truth all the time? No. I found that if you open with the full truth, it's the equivalent of getting a handful of sand thrown in your face at the beach. And it sort of dampens the enjoyment for everyone present, especially the person at whom you throw sand. But I do believe that honesty is ultimately the best thing to do. So if you're not ready to answer it, change the subject. But when you are ready, do not hide the truth. If I had known what she really wanted, if I had known how she really felt, if I had known what she really thought, I never would have married her. And because of that experience, I've met other women like her and said, not going to marry this one either. And so, am I single by choice? Yes. Is the choice always mine? Nope. Is it partially mine? Yep. Is it sometimes mine? Yep. Is it sometimes 100% mine? Yes. But not all the time. And I didn't get divorced because that's what I wanted. I got divorced because it didn't matter what I wanted, because she did not want to stay married to me. I hope she's happily married to her next husband. I do not know what's going on with them. I really don't care. But I know that life is better with love in it. And so if she can find someone to love her, her life will be better. And that would be good for everyone. Anyway, I'll leave you with this thought. Warren Buffett once said that the most important decision you can make is to pick the right woman. And I think he's talking mostly about business. But the right one will give you life, posterity, a legacy, and the wrong one will take it from you. I know this personally, and I hope that you never do. Godspeed, make good choices, good luck. May you find love.